This is the plaintiff, Guy Kelly. She says she assisted the defendant in locating a house for sale and was promised a fee. She spent hours helping the defendant secure a house he needed, purchased, and once the sale went through, he cut her out of the deal. Now owes her big time and is suing him for the $1,600 she was promised. This is the defendant, Richard Patterson. He says the plaintiff represented herself as a licensed real estate broker, and she was working with her elderly neighbor who was interested in selling her house. When the sale was final, he asked the plaintiff for her license because she wanted a fee, but she has no such license, and she isn't entitled to a commission. He's accused of a real estate stiffing.
All parties, please use your right hand.
Welcome back to the People's Court. Next case on the docket. The plaintiff helped the defendant find a house he wanted to buy, and he stiffed her on her fee. But the defendant says the plaintiff fraudulently said she was a licensed broker. It's the case of broker. He hardly knew her.
Okay, Guy Kelly?
Yes.
All right, you are suing Mr. Patterson and his real estate firm for $1,600 for services rendered. Tell me about those services.
Well, I moved into Oronoque Village in 2003, and I became friendly with my neighbors. In June of 2016, the neighbor across the street from me was moving into assisted living. She approached me and she said she would like to sell her home. And I said, well, I have a friend in the village. His name is Larry, and maybe he can help. And he introduced me to Mr. Patterson.
Who did, Larry?
Larry did.
All right, and what does Larry do for a living?
He's a real estate broker.
Okay.
Or agent.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a real estate broker.
All right, so why didn't Larry just take it? Why didn't you just list it?
Well, because I didn't have a license in Connecticut.
Okay, so he introduces you to Mr. Patterson, and what's the agreement?
Well, then what happened was then I went back to Miss Kulichek and I said, would you like to meet someone who said that they would buy your home for cash? And she agreed.
Oh, he's the actual buyer.
He's the actual, well, I don't know that.
Are you the actual buyer?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, so you served as a broker on this?
Buyer-broker.
Are you licensed in Connecticut?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so go ahead.
So I set up a meeting between Miss Kulichek, Mr. Patterson, and Larry. Now, Your Honor, if I were operating as a broker looking for commission, I would have, as you said, I would have taken it myself.
So you set up a meeting. What else did you do?
So when they finished the meeting and they agreed on price and they agreed on conditions and everything, I helped. Mrs. Kulichek had no siblings, no children. She was 88 years old at the time, and I spent days and hours helping her move. She and a distant cousin and myself helped her move because she had no one to help her.
Well, how does that help him? I mean, that has
Well,
nothing to do
because
with...
he had said to me he would compensate me for my time and effort.
Okay, well, hold on. Helping the little old lady move across is a choice that you made as a neighbor. That has nothing to do with the sale of the place.
Okay.
Tell me what you did in furtherance of the sale of the place.
All right. Then Mr. Patterson brought the contracts to me after they were drawn up. He brought them to me. Mrs. Kulichek had already moved out at that point. It was in assisted living. I brought the contracts to her, and she needed her lawyer to look over the contracts. I then visited her 3 or 4 times until I was made sure she signed the contracts. I brought them home, and Mr. Patterson picked them up from me.
Okay.
So,
and so how do you come up with the $1,600?
Because I worked for 64 hours times $25, that makes $1,600.
Is that how you came up with it?
That's how I came up with it.
That's very interesting, because that's not how you filed your lawsuit, is it?
No.
Let me hear from you your side of things, and
Yes,
then
Your
we'll
Honor.
discuss why it's important. Go ahead.
Okay, Your Honor, I have an email, Exhibit F, from the plaintiff that clearly states her name as a real estate agent, and in the body of it, it says LREB, Licensed Real Estate Broker.
May I see that?
Yes, Your Honor.
And this is during what is the email?
This was, I believe that was already after the fact.
May I ask, Your Honor?
No, do you mind? Hold on a second.
Sorry.
I took the contract to her residence. I had her sign the contracts and delivered signed contracts to you. I was promised 1% of the closing. So why are you saying that you agreed on $25 an hour?
Because after that, I did not have a license in Connecticut, and I was told that I could not collect anything in Connecticut.
So now you're going to just lie about what the facts are in order to get paid?
No, but I didn't have a license, but Mr. Patterson knew that from day one, that I didn't have a license in Connecticut.
Okay.
I was only licensed in New York.
Well, you weren't even licensed in New York when the sale happened, right?
I certainly, as far as I know, I called New York. I've been licensed since 1977, and I have
Just out
all
of
the
curiosity, not that, I'm not even sure that's relevant, but I want to know, was she licensed in New York at the time of sale? Because according to you, you looked it up and she wasn't.
No, Your Honor, she was not licensed.
How do you know that? Prove that to me now.
So she changed her story. Does that obliterate her credibility?
No, it doesn't.
Why?
Because I think there's two sides to every story.
But she gave both sides.
She did. So there's probably a little truth to both of them.
Or what if there's not? What if she just lied about something? Can the judge say, I don't trust you at all?
I'd say so. If you're knowingly lying to a judge in court, it's on you.
Fair enough. Going inside the courtroom.
I paid the state of New York $50 to do a research, and Exhibit H1 shows that her license was revoked on February 26th of 2016.
For what?
6 months prior to this. It doesn't tell, the state won't tell you what it's for. But
I
they
can-
revoked her license.
No.
She was working with a revoked license.
I was not.
This says that your license was revoked February 26th of 2016. This sale took place in the summer of 2016.
August 2016.
So it sounds like you didn't have a New York license. I'm not even sure it's relevant, because the issue is Connecticut gets to decide what they're going to monitor. And you can't, without a license, get a commission.
Right.
Your deal was a commission. It was a 1% of the sale. How did you not know that Connecticut wouldn't let you do that?
But because I didn't know that, and Mr. Patterson, too, had to know. He knew I didn't have a license in Connecticut. He
No,
knew.
but I mean, you're the person who doesn't have the license and is trying to wheel and deal in Connecticut. How do you not go online and figure out whether you're going to get paid or whether you should structure this as a per hour thing or something else? I mean, you were the one who said, how did you guys agree on the 1%?
It was a 1% referral fee, Your Honor.
A referral fee.
A referral
What
fee.
the heck's that?
Well, for example, Your Honor, if I refer a client that's moving to Florida to a Florida agent, a Florida broker would then pay me a referral fee based on the commission that they receive. That's commonly done cross state lines.
Okay, but
from one broker
did
to
you
another.
think she was licensed in Connecticut?
She claimed she was licensed at the time. She
in
said
Connecticut.
no.
Right, so you
New
knew
York
she wasn't
broker.
licensed in Connecticut.
Correct.
So the agreement was on a 1% commission,
Referral fee.
and then why wouldn't you pay it to her?
Because her license was revoked. She was not a licensed broker. In Connecticut law, it states that I cannot pay anybody any type of fee without them being a licensed broker. If I do, my license would be in jeopardy.
What's your response to that?
My response is that without me, Mr. Patterson would have never had the deal.
Yeah, but
And-
look,
well,
I think you're right. Of course you're right.
Yeah.
But the question is, the way you set up the verbal contract between you and him is that you would get a commission. You set the things in motion the wrong way, and now you're mad at us because, you know what I'm saying? So what say you to the fact that his license in Connecticut doesn't let him pay you? He says, well, my license in Connecticut would be jeopardized if I pay her a broker fee because she can't get a broker fee.
Right, and there was no reciprocity between Connecticut and New York at the time. So no matter what, I did not have a license in Connecticut.
Yeah, everybody knows that.
Okay.
Including
I
him.
do now, though.
Yeah.
That's great.
And it could have been retroactive.
No, it couldn't have.
Well.
If I may, Your Honor?
Go ahead.
In Exhibit C that I provided, also, it states on the top, Connecticut Real Estate Commission policy on unlicensed persons. And one of the things that says you cannot contact cooperating brokers, whether in person or otherwise, regarding any negotiations or open transactions. I was told.
Show me what you're looking at.
She told me she was licensed. She gave me a copy of an expired license, and she said that her license had been lost in the mail and she was getting it straightened out. And I repeatedly asked for the updated current license, which never transpired. And that's what forced me to contact the state of New York and pay to have research done to find out exactly what her status was. And that's when I found out her license
He's
had
right,
been
it does put
revoked.
him in violation. You blew it. The way you set it up, you blew it. It's your contract that I'm asked to enforce. I can't make up a contract you wished you'd entered into. The contract you entered into is exactly what you're not allowed to do is be paid on the basis of commission or any amount based on listings, sales, etc. It was exactly that. It was 1% of the sale. You're not allowed to discuss or explain a contract purchase agreement. Or that's exactly what you did with the lady, was facilitate the thing. You just.
But Your Honor,
you're done. You're cooked. It's just, this is like, it's really very black and white for you, and you know that. You have learned that since you filed the case or after the deal was done. That's when you learned everything you should have done. And you know that this was a fighting war in this courtroom. You had to have, because otherwise I'm kind of insulted. Because you have to know that I'm going to abide by what the law is. You can't come in here and claim you were supposed to be paid $25 an hour, and that's how you came up with this. You can't come in here and bold-faced lie about what your deal was, or convert it to something that it wasn't. So no, I'm abiding by your contract, which you can't enforce because you aren't entitled under the laws of Connecticut to enforce it, and he could get in trouble for paying you the commission. And that's what it is. It's a commission. A percentage of a sales price is a commission. Okay? Verdicts for the defendant.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So the judge rules that Ms. Kelly cannot collect on this lawsuit. Unfortunately, what do you think about what the judge just told you?
Well, I think that I certainly should have been paid something for all the time and effort, and without me, Mr. Patterson would have never, ever had the sale. There's no doubt about that.
Well, you've learned something, obviously.
Yes.
If you were to do this again, it would be, you'd set it up totally differently.
You
wouldn't
got
you?
that right.
Well, you learned a hard lesson. I'm sorry. Legally, the judge said he can't give you the money.
Right.
I'll
Well,
ask him about that. But anyway,
Okay.
tough
Thank you.
lesson for you. Sorry about that.
Thanks very much.
Thank you very much. You must sign a few documents on your way out of the courtroom. Mr. Patterson, you could have given her some money, couldn't you, out of your pocket? I mean, unbeknownst to anybody else? Just
It'd be a
between you and her?
violation of state law. I'm not going to risk my broker's license to violate the state law because she chose to violate the state law. And she was a real estate broker in New York, licensed before it was
Right,
revoked.
right. We understand
She
that.
knows the law.
Do you feel at all guilty that she didn't get anything out of this?
Well, I wish she was licensed. I would have been happy to pay her.
All right, well, you know the law. Thank you very much.
That's my license and my livelihood. I'm not going to risk it.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Okay, all righty. Harvey?
You know, this is the interesting thing about these cases. Every case usually, almost every case, has strengths and weaknesses on both sides. Don't lie about your weaknesses. You have to embrace it. You have to tell the truth. And if you don't, it's going to blow your credibility.